over, we've been told by our opponents that bigger tax cuts and fewer regulations are the only way. That since government can't do everything, it should do almost nothing. If you can't afford health insurance, hope that you don't get sick. If you can't afford to start a business or go to college, take my opponent's advice and borrow money from your parents. You know what? That's not who we are. That's not what this country's about.
Just a sample of President Obama's speech last night. It's been met by mixed reviews, some saying it was dull or played it safe, others calling it spirited and convincing. But the question remains, was he actually overshadowed by Bill Clinton and Michelle Obama? And what were the major takeaways from the Democratic National Convention? Let's bring in our panel on this. Richard French returning to our set, just back from Charlotte on the show named after him. Welcome back, Rich. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
And Dominic Carter, political journalist and author. And Rich, let's, it does feel like a little reversal.
He loves this, by the way. He's loving every minute of this.
Let's, excuse me, Mr. French. Let's start with the week in Charlotte. What do you think are the major takeaways from the convention?
Listen, I spoke to folks there. They thought they got exactly what they wanted. The weather may not have cooperated with the outdoor event, but it probably did them a favor at the end. They got the intimate setting. I don't think it's unfair how you positioned it. I think we got an idea, though. The president gets the job numbers the day before they're released, so he probably knew last night. In fact, I know he knew last night what they were going to be, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in a little bit, Andrew. But I thought, while there were moments here that were memorable, like when you were in Tampa, some of the most memorable ones weren't necessarily the speeches, but the videos and the testimonials from people and the human stories that you didn't know about either the candidate or about people directly impacted, in this case, by things like the health care and about veterans care and about, people on the inside from the military when Osama bin Laden mission was taken and obviously achieved. But Bill Clinton stole the convention. People were talking the day after, people were talking 2 days after, that he in 54 minutes was able to eviscerate the Romney proposals and Ryan budget here and go over facts, as he said, with arithmetic and the records. Maybe Obama's role was, the spirit of it, to put the hope in the, and the roaring or soaring rhetoric to it, but the math and the facts, Bill Clinton knocked out of the park, and I think a lot of people are still talking about that the day later. I don't know what that says, but I do know that they believe it was a successful convention, and I think it's interesting as to why.
If President Obama was overshadowed by President Clinton, does that hurt President Obama, or is it all good as long as the eyeballs were tuning in?
Well, Richard was the one at the convention, but in my opinion, it doesn't hurt President Obama at all. The name of the game is to win re-election. And you have a former president who is a beloved figure in America, President Clinton. And so thus the message is you use every venue that you can to help you win. And so, Richard, what I'm curious about is the energy, because what I saw, Andrew was in Tampa, you were in Charlotte, but what I saw was almost night and day in terms of energy. Well, was that accurate?
Our crews, Andrew, were the same that were in both places, and they said it's non-comparable. There were moments where the crowds were so moved to tears out there. Now, I don't know why, but some were. And that was the scene in Charlotte. You didn't get that in Tampa. Listen, the number here, we're going to talk about two numbers, or maybe three with the job numbers, but it's 60 days. The sprint begins now from now to the election. But the other number that matters is 270, and that's the electoral map. Now, for all of our audience at home, we're not going to see the president, the vice president, Romney or Ryan here over the next 2 months anywhere in our region. They're going to be in Ohio. They're going to be in Florida. They might as well live in those two places, maybe Virginia and a few of the other swing states here. They're going to be doing debates, and they're going to be in the swing states. As it related to the swing states and the messaging for the middle-class voters, I think the Democrats got exactly what they wanted out of the 3 days in Charlotte. A lot can change, job numbers being one of them as a metric, but that's who their audience was last night. It wasn't all of America as much as they'd lead you to believe it was.
You mentioned 60 days to go. We're actually less than a month away from the start of the debates. October 3rd in Denver on domestic policy. The 11th is the vice presidential debate. On the 16th at at Hofstra on Long Island. You get the town hall debate, and then finally on October 22nd, the foreign policy debate in Boca Raton as the sprint now over the last 60 days begins. How critical are these debates going to be? Is this really where the entire election is in the balance?
Well, you know, Dom, they always say that people, when they watch debates, really look for affirmation for the one that they're rooting for, that they're going to cheer for the answer, even if they both give the same one, the one that they go and rooting for. There is a portion of the population that doesn't care who they like and who they don't like. They want a steward for the economy. And I think in this setting, and we saw, I don't know if you got to see the clips, Don, but they played clips from when Romney was running against Ted Kennedy. And
we did see it.
And he got lit up a few times by Ted Kennedy, or at least the excerpts that they showed for the audience in Charlotte. Point is, if it plays out the way people think it will, that'll probably be a net, it's a forum probably that lends itself more to President Obama. But he believes he wins on the facts here. And as it relates to foreign policy, we know what the polls say. As it relates to the economy, if they go into the facts and figures, he thinks they win. We'll see. But I think the debates help, not hurt the president.
Well, what stuck out to me was the energy level that it seemed that the Democrats had.
Yeah.
The first night of the Republican convention, Ann Romney, in my opinion, did a good job selling her husband. But Michelle Obama hit a grand slam. Deval Patrick, the governor of Massachusetts, hit a grand slam. Senator Kerry of Massachusetts did a very good job from what we could see on television. Again, you were there.
But believe it or not, the one who got the biggest ovation? Jennifer Granholm, the former Michigan governor here, talking about the auto bailout here, and really the message that if you're a manufacturing guy in this country, one candidate, she had a great line about Mitt Romney will put the car, he'll put the car in the elevator, but he'll give the workers the shaft. The roof almost came off the place.
But you know, if those speeches were grand slams, the job number today is something of a swing and a miss. How big of
Do you
a
think
problem?
so, though? Because I've heard different people spin this. Unemployment goes from 8.3 to 8.1. Total jobs created less than 100,000. They thought it was going to be 200,000. Isn't that kind of the eye of the beholder?
But the headline that I keep, or at least the second line of the headline I keep hearing about, is that so many people left the job market, stopped looking for work, and it's, you know, even as a positive, it's not a big positive today. Whereas if you're taking the negative view, it seems like it's a big negative. Is it that kind of report and the couple of reports we get between now and election day?
People by now think. It sounds the same time every time these job reports come out. It's kind of a mixed bag here. Not enough people, but we're at least going kind of in the right direction.
And I do agree with you, Richard, and that's why it was important, the theme of what the Democrats did, of President Obama laying it on the line and saying, listen, I'm being honest with you. It's not perfect, and it's going to take time, but making the case, and Bill Clinton coming behind him in a big way to saying, look, we're on the right path.
Promise was Denver. Patience with Charlotte. We'll see if they'll buy it in November.
Very comfortable as a panelist, Rich. I got to tell you, we're gonna
I'm running on fumes right now. I didn't even know. I think I'm in New York, so yeah.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to bring you some of the most memorable moments from the DNC. That's next. Stay with us.
While my opponent would spend more money on military hardware that our Joint Chiefs don't even want, I will use the money we're no longer spending on war to pay down our debt and put more people back to work, rebuilding roads and bridges and schools and runways, because after 2 wars that have cost us thousands of lives and over $1 trillion, it's time to do some nation building right here at home.